served their objects. The Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans,
on the instruction of the Cabinet. This includes making recommendations as to the repeal or amendment of legislation which is either inconsistent with the Constitution, redundant or obsolete. My colleague...
Excellencies, please welcome His Excellency, President of the Republic of South Africa, President Jacob Zuma. Thank you. You may be seated. Your Excellency, Mr. President, leaders of the mining industry, the leaders from the Chamber of Mines and leaders from the South African Mining Development Agency Association, leaders of the trade union movement from COSATU, AMCU, National Union of Mine Workers, FEDUSA, as well as NACTU, Minister of Mineral Resources, Minister of Labor. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As you are aware, His Excellency the President has from this morning chaired the Mining Sector Framework Agreement Forum, and in this regard, His Excellency the President will now brief you about the outcomes of this forum. Thereafter, we will be able to take no more than 3 questions.
To ensure that those members and their dependents were paid allowances shamefully. This has not been the case for all those who sacrificed their youth,
for the liberation of our country. We know of a number of former APLA and MK soldiers who live in squalor, who have never received a cent from the democratic government, the very same government that does all of this in its power to ensure that the safety and comfort of former apartheid soldiers is assured. Some of the freedom fighters from APLA soldiers specifically are still in jail. One of them, as we speak now, Deputy Speaker, Kenny Mutsamai, languages in jails of the democratic dispensation. Some of these freedom fighters are still in jail, as we say. The question is, why repeal such a law only now? Until you have gone through all avenues to ensure that there isn't a single liberation army soldier who still struggles to feed his family. The argument is the same for the termination of integration intake of 2001. Special concession should have been made to extend these laws until the government has satisfied itself that all Liberation Army soldiers have been integrated into the Defence Force. This is indicative of a government that has forgotten where it comes from, a former liberation movement that embraces those who oppressed us before more than it should be defending and protecting its own. It is this lapse of memory that the South African government has decided to use soldiers for their state-sponsored xenophobic and xenophobia in the Operation Fiela project, where they target African people who are supposedly in the country illegal. This project criminalizes the very same Africans who provided shelter for us during our dark days. Because ANC leaders think we are a forgetting nation, they also use the army to fight illegal wars in defense of the business interests of the President Jacob Zuma's Navy in the Central African Republic. As we speak today, the South African National Defence Force does not have enough pilots to ensure that the country is safe in cases of emergency. The delay, therefore, in repealing these laws is indicative of the rot and lack of leadership in that department. For these reasons, we are reminded of the poet Tolkien, who observes that it's not all that glitters which is gold. And we also disagree with him. However, the Economic Freedom Fighters House Chair rejects the Defence Laws Repeal and Amendment Bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Mngango.
Honorable Chairperson, the South African Law Reform Commission recommended the repeal of defense laws it considered to be redundant and the amendment of those inconsistent with the Constitution's Equality Clause. The Defense Laws Repeal and Amendment Bill therefore seeks to repeal 16 defense laws and proposes an amendment to the Castle Management Act of 1993. There is one of the 16, however, that we feel should not be repealed, but rather amended. That is the Termination of Integration Intake Act of 2001. Integration has not yet been fully completed, and we still find many soldiers who contributed greatly to the freedom we now so easily take for granted in South Africa, who have to be accommodated and integrated into the standing defense force of this country. Many members of the former self-protection units, for instance, and the self-defense units, find themselves being left out in the cold, languishing in a country that no longer values or recognizes the great sacrifices and contributions they made during the struggle for our freedom and democracy. This is not the way we should be repaying those valiant comrades. The matter of integration should be kept open until all have been accommodated into our defense forces. Let us not turn our backs on them. Honorable Chairperson, another matter which also behoves our urgent attention is that of the repeal of the Demobilization Act. 21 years after democracy, we still find the undoing of the ANC, Umkhonto weSizwe, being publicly paraded around by the ruling party as if it's a private army. This is both reckless and irresponsible by the ruling party. Public parades of this nature by a pseudo-military force outside of government, but yet with government sanctions, is breeding ground for lawlessness and criminality. The MK was demobilized together with all other non-statutory forces, and it has now an able successor in the South African National Defence Force. It must be publicly demobilized and the ruling party's full weight thrown behind the South African National Defence Force. As we have no enemies on our borders, our military's role becomes that of a peacekeeper. First and foremost, though, must be the protection of the Constitution and rule of law. One legitimate defence force is all South Africa requires. I thank you.
Thank you, Babu Mngango. Mhlonishwa Khubisa.
House Chairperson, honorable members, the bill before us today recommends that the laws listed be repealed and the Castle Management Act be amended. The South African Law Reform Commission has been mandated with the task of revising our statutes and make suggestions regarding the laws which are in conflict with our Constitution, as well as the laws which are redundant and obsolete. The cluster of defense laws listed in the report falls squarely within the category of redundant and obsolete laws and serve no further purpose. The majority of these laws were enacted on an ad hoc basis to serve a very particular function with a particular time frame, all of which has since lapsed. Hence, the NFP is in support of the repeal of these laws. House Chairperson, the repealing of such obsolete laws awakens this House to the fact that there are many of these laws that are outdated and serve to discriminate rather than unite our people across racial, gender, color, or creed lines. Such laws should either be repealed or amended and do not deserve a space in our statute books. Many of these laws deny our people opportunities that they qualify for. The NFP welcomes the amendment of the Castle Management Act of 207 of 1993, which placed a prohibition on the retention of any person above the age of 7 years on the Castle Board. Such a prohibition is manifestly in violation of the country's constitution, which prohibits discrimination on any of the listed grounds in Section 9, which includes age and no rational limitation in terms of Section 36 applies. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Babu Khubisa. Akhbaralet, Groenewald.
Agbare voorsitter, ek wil begin om te sê die Vryheidsfront Plus ondersteun hierdie wysigingswetsontwerp. Ons sê dit is 'n tipiese vrugteslaai wysigingswetsontwerp wat vat 'n stukkie hier van hierdie wet en daardie wet en dan wysig hy hom. So dit is nie 'n probleem nie. Maar siene dat daar gekyk word dat dit ooreenstemmend met die grondwet is, agbare voorsitter, wil ek vir die agbare minister sê. Minister, u gaan nou rond en u doen 'n beroep op wit mense om asseblief aan te sluit by die weermag. Maar u adjunkminister kom en hy sê daar is 'n intelligensieondersoek in 'n gevorderde stadium na oud soldate van die vorige Suid-Afrikaanse weermag wat tans veg teen Boko Haram. En dan sê hy, want ons het daardie kundigheid nodig in Suid-Afrika. Nou, hoe skynheilig kan 'n mens wees? Want dit is hierdie ANC-regering wat deur hulle beleid van transformasie en regstellende aksie in 2004 77 kolonels basies afgedank het, waarvan 76 wit kolonels was. In 2006 word die offisiersvormingskursus by die leergevegskool beskikbaar gestel en dit staan op skrif slegs vir swartes, bruines en Indiërs. Nou, agbare minister, as u dink, u gaan wit mense na die weermag toe wil lok, maar dan vir hulle sê, jy kan nie eintlik op 'n offisierskursus gaan nie. Want ons moet transformasie toepas. Ons moet regstellende aksie toepas. Dan wil ek vir u sê, mislei u self om te dink dat mense dan by die Suid-Afrikaanse nasionale weermag sal aansluit. As die regering regtig wil wysigings aanbring in terme van verdediging en ook in terme van belang van hierdie land, dan sal u die grondwet wysig om weg te doen met regstellende aksie. Want dit is eintlik niks anders as 'n rassistiese, diskriminerende wet wat die beste potensiaal van Suid-Afrika nie wil gebruik nie. Soos in die weermag. Hulle het die kundigheid. Suid-Afrika is gewikkeld in operasies in Afrika. Maar dit is hierdie kundigheid wat die sukses behaal teen Boko Haram. Ek wil vir die ANC regering sê, agbare minister, moenie die ondersoek doen as mense goeie werk doen nie. Bedank hulle eerder en sê vir hulle dankie dat hulle sukses het teen Boko Haram om vrede in Afrika te vestig. Ek dank u.
Dank u, agbare lid. Agbare lid Carter.
Thank you, Chairperson. The amendments we are considering today arise from the recommendations of the South African Law Reform Commission. The Congress of the People consistently support any repeal or amendment of law that are inconsistent with the equality clause in the Constitution. That much we owe to the people of South Africa. We support reducing the size of the statute book, the modernization of statutes, and the simplification of statutes. In 1996, this Parliament began a process to simplify our laws. Regrettably, that process did not go very far. Simplifying the law and reducing the size of the statute book must become a major ambition of our Parliament. We must remove and bury laws that is dead or dying and keep only live necessary law in our statute books. Too much law is as useless as too little laws. The Commission recently identified laws pertaining to military veterans that are now clearly obsolete and therefore needs to be repealed. The Congress of the People has looked at the 12 acts that we need to amend. Some of these date back to 1929. They have no present use and agree that they should be repealed. The bill seeks to amend Section 7 of the Castle Management Act, as already covered by my colleagues. And the Section 7F, the bill discriminates clearly against people who are 70 years and older. It implies that persons who are 70 years of age are incapable of dealing with functions and duties of a castle's board. As Section 9 of our Constitution does not permit such discrimination, and as it is inconsistent with the Constitution, we agree that it must go. It is important for us to recognize that we live in an open and democratic society based on human dignity, equality, and freedom. Our laws must therefore reflect and protect these values. The Congress of the People congratulates the South African Law Reform Commission for its diligence. We ask the Commission to do what gardeners have been doing for the last few months, extensive pruning of overgrowth. Our statute book is indeed too big, and even as we keep adding new laws, the Commission must suggest what we should prune and what we should take out. We urge Parliament to seek to take out laws that are not serving any purpose. We have too many laws, and many of them are choking business and stifling economic growth. Fewer and better laws will promote rule of law and respect for law. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Carter. Honorable Bongo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament and fellow South Africans. The father of the Cuban nationalism, a revolutionary, a fierce opponent of imperialism, an advocate of justice and equality, Jose Marti once said, and I quote, "Liberty is the right of every man to be honest, to think and to speak without hypocrisy." Honorable members, the reason why we're before this House in regard with this bill, it's one reason, is that the African National Congress post-1994, it was faced with serious, unique challenges, having to integrate statutory and non-statutory forces for a cohesive democratic dispensation. And this has seen a successful integration of what we had called South African National Defence Force. And this did not come with challenges. So the reason we're here before the House is to deal with those laws that we created as ad hoc laws, those laws that in legal terms are abrogated by disuse, those laws that are obsolete. so that we're able to create more laws. The matter before us shouldn't be confused with the court case that the Khoisan Special Defense Unit took to court, because the court there was very clear that the issues of disintegration are issues that are over and done with. However, the court has said that the minister may need to have meaningful engagement with the Khoisan Self-Defense Unit with a progressive realization of trying to check what is it that can be done for that particular community and other communities that are affected. Honorable Chair, Section 8 of the Defense Special Tribunal Act states that that law was supposed to come to an end 31st December 2001. So coming to Parliament today is just to fulfill a legislative process, which is a logical step towards ensuring that we do away with those laws that are no longer in use in the dispensation that we're in now. Honorable Chair, we will, and we have agreed as a committee, that we would have meaningful engagement as the court has requested us to do in looking at those special cases that may be there. I thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Bongo. Honorable Isong.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'd like to point to the issue of one, that the DA concurs with the amendments, the repeal and the amendment bill, and we have no objection to the issues of obsoleteness and, of course, being unnecessary, being spent, and these laws. So we concur with that. I think the issue I'd like to discuss briefly with the House is the one that refers to the court case as mentioned by the Honourable Minister in the Khoisan Kingdom and all people's party versus the Minister of Defence, case number 41202 of 2010, in which 14,500 names have been attached to that application, representing soldiers that were left out. Now, these soldiers came from, as mentioned by the Minister, by Kufut, the SACC Battalion 2132 and 115, and Psi 1 and Psi 3, and other units. Now, these individuals, we know that SACC was disbanded in 1992. And that was done intentionally by the South African Defence Force. These individuals were left out of the whole integration process. And when the laws of demobilization and also the Termination of Integration Intake Act, both these acts referred only to non-statutory forces. Now, these individuals were employed by the SADF, and they were not non-statutory, they were actually statutory, which means they have CPR, certified personnel registered, with all documentation and everything in place. However, they were totally neglected. A few individuals may have been incorporated and integrated, a few. But in terms of the act, it had to be formations that had to be integrated. So we find that if we look at the judgment itself and appreciate it was based on the Demobilization Act, Termination of Integration Act, both of these have come and expired. And therefore, there was no legal framework for the judge to make a decision in favor of this organization, the party, and neither to grant them or urge or force the minister to have an audience with them. So if that was the case, there was also a meeting with the SACC in which Major General Modisi of the MK and Dr. S. Mokhoba of the PAC on the 2nd of October 2001. And this is written in the founding affidavit, where they commented and they say they were dealing with a pathetic case of apartheid. And this issue must be faced somehow. If the Cape Corps were really part of the SADF, then they have a case in saying they were left out. And I think this is also because of the nature of the case and what has happened. The minister admits the respondent. It says here in the court document in the judgment, according to the respondent, a legislative intervention to address the plight of the applicant's members, 14,500 members, would require both Parliament and Executive to be involved. And then also, To deal with this historical injustice, the judge then, Judge Mbundla, quotes the preamble of South Africa and says, "We, the people of South Africa, believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in diversity," and he continues, "We therefore heal the divisions of the past and establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights." And he ends off and he says, "I am of the view that in line with the ethos reflected in the preamble of the Constitution, the respondent should take the responsibility of addressing the concerns of the applicant's left out members without the court obliging to do so." We ask the Minister, have you met with those individuals and addressed them since 2010, since the court case in 2012, and we're now 2015?
Thank you very
much.
Thank you. Honorable Boy.
Thank you, honorable members. Thank you, Minister and Deputy Ministers. I thought that we are on par and we do understand the issues. But sometimes we do get disappointed when members don't come across as reflecting what is exactly stated and what is exactly expected of an honorable member when we deal with constitutional matters. This is not really a matter that says, what do you do with repeal? But it goes to say that there is some consistency in upholding of the Constitution itself and how we reflect and would like to see it that Parliament in itself as an institution is able to uphold that law and is able to cooperate and work along with what is being expected of Parliament to do. I do expect some of the issues that are being raised, that sometimes they don't come and be within what is being raised. I'm very sure, Honorable Esso, myself and yourself, who have dealt extensively with these issues that they are raising, that it's not been an obligation that is far more pushed towards the ministry. It's a responsibility that we're supposed to have taken. And quite clear, yeah, it's fine. It's your problem, it's not my problem. And what we are saying, that the point that at the end of the day, after we have said that this issue is on top of the table, myself and all other honorable members that have been here for a long time in the Defense Committee, we clearly said that what happened to this section of the Cape Corps. Now you should be able to admit, and we have always been explaining it within the committee, that it's not been an obligation that is being pushed towards Parliament. It's been always been said that in that history of the problem, it's the SADF during the negotiations that abandoned the Cape Corps. It's not us. They abandoned the Cape Corps clearly, and we kept on saying who will represent them, who will come to them, because we came to institutions to come and register ourselves. It can't be pushed. Now, what we are saying that even what the judge is saying, quite clearly there is no other person that represents the Cape Corps that could be able to mobilize and assist the Cape Corps to be able to put forward the credentials. You know, for a matter of fact, somebody must be able to say to the data center, these are the people, and this is where. If the SADF abandon them, who will come up and say to us, this information is correct, and this is the information that we should be able to incorporate, and this is how we should be able to take cognizance of these particular people. So it's a problem of the SADF and the ingenuity of those that we have apartheid, leaders. It's not our, creation of ourselves to say that as a country, yes, we respect and we uphold the Constitution, and that's what we're doing. And that's why we're able to say this is how we have dealt with the issues of demobilization. But it becomes very unfair to shift that responsibility. Because for the past 10 years, we've been saying that bring and show us how do we make sure that these particular individuals come in to be incorporated. Because in the negotiation table, they were represented by the SADF, and the SADF is the one that kicked them out. Correctly so, Mr. Mare, the challenge now, we do hear what you are saying about the Air Force, and it's a collective thing that we all say that as the SNDF, as the Portfolio Committee of the Defense, we should be able to do something in relation to the Air Force. We should apply our mind. But we also know, for a matter of fact, that that's why we've been able to push the defense review, because unless and until we get that defense review, that could be able to make it possible for the Defense Force to have resources as a team that works under the Defense Force
with which is what I respect all of you about, is that you don't show, partisanship towards the defense force. That's highly recommendable, and that's what we should always be doing that. And the way we apply our mind in relation of how do we make sure that the resources that are confronting the defense force and how do we help them is our collective wisdom, is that within that strength, we'll be able to appeal to the National Treasury to reincorporate and help us to assist the defense force so that the implementation of the defense review is what is going to overall cover some of the concerns that we're all getting concerned about. And that spirit within the committee is what will always talk to all of us, and it's what I really welcome you, since you've also been part of the defense committee, the spirit that you have shown, that we should make it very possible that the defense force capacity is being done and we are being helped as a collective, and speak to the Treasury to be able to get that process to be finished. So as long as that we have not been able to finalize on how we deal with the defense review, which we have dealt with, now we have shifted it over to the executive with an expectation that the executive should be able to do that. I must say, Honorable Mtwangu, that the challenge has been always that how do we deal with the SPU? It's never been we have never been ignorant as members of parliament of how we deal with that. You know, I've spoken to you at a personal level, we have spoken to each other, and we've been trying to develop mechanisms of how do we deal with the issue of the SPU. Nobody in this government has ever said, even in approaching the president, have said would ever ignore them. But there hasn't been, as I'm saying, that how we regulate that relationship with the institution or with those that are in the defense force that have been able to go into the negotiations and have been able to go and meet in the negotiation during the integration and make it possible for the various parties. So if we have missed it there, I then said all the time that what regulations are in place that you could be able to facilitate, that could make it possible for us to be able to reintegrate them, if it's possible, through the law processes, so that we don't undermine the Constitution, we don't undermine the law, we find ways of being able to make these things very possible for the defense force, because you know for a matter of fact that it goes along with the fiscals of how much they want to spend in that particular environment, and how do we make sure that all South Africans are integrated. I'm definitely sure that even the members of APLA are quite conscious that it's not us who does the vetting. We are members of parliament, and that vetting was supposed to have been done at the integration center to approve members who are supposed to enter into the defense force. If you have missed it, my brother, in the AFF, that's a process that happens like that. It's not something that you go out of no obligation. This government is committed, and this government has always been able to make it possible. But what we are saying is that defense force members were supposed to have been gone there and be able for them to be able to have been integrated. And through that process, it would have been possible for them to have been vetted. And whatever the criticism in the fight is from the PAC, they were supposed to follow those processes. We are trying to deal with them even now, as we are dealing within the issues of the DMV, that who is it that we are talking about, you see. And it's not upon any one of us. What we are saying, what we have been able to do together as a collective within the defense force, has been able to set up the regulations of that. How do we regulate the relationships and the people that are supposed to be integrated and those that are left out? If there was something that says the PAC or APLA, these are the issues that they have, in terms of the law, we've heard them in the committee many a times. Never have they been able to say to us, these are the type of regulation that have taken place, or these are the type of regulation that you could be able to work on to be able to reintegrate the members that have been outstanding. Now, to continue trying to say that there is no leadership, there's no one who can be able to apply his mind, it's full of fallacy, it's full of not being able and ignorant of how the system, is beginning to work, and being very, working on the fact that you would love to accuse the African national government without being able to use the strength that you have as a member of parliament, that when you sit within the parliamentary committee, it's what you need to be able to do, that the portfolio committee on defense sit down, reflect. If there's a regulation or the law that you think that could improve this particular relationship, we always take up the challenge and says, we're open-minded within the committee, apply your mind, give some suggestions so that you could be able to take these matters forward. They are stagnant there because from where we sit, it's been always that we thought and we're always thinking that the laws and the rules that we apply and the rule, how we regulate the defense forces as the parliamentary committee has been to the best of every South African. And that's why we're saying that even now, we are quite confident that why we are able to say we're demobilizing, because there's no challenge, there's no legality for us to be able to continuously sustaining this particular approach, because the Defense Force has become a very stable organization.
Thank you.
And I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Minister of Defense, to close the debate.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks to all those who have participated in the debate. Just to say that, starting with the matter raised by the Honorable Murray on one military hospital, you are very correct, but I'm sure you are also aware of a report which I presented during the budget vote, where we indicated that we now have a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Public Works for purposes of taking over the work of renovations at 1 mil. As I'm talking now, indeed, it is the Defense Force works capability, which is now works formation, which is dealing with 1 mil. That is why there is, in fact, progress. Yes, I agree with you that there have been enormous challenges, but the point is we've now taken over and we are dealing with that matter. Just to also go back to the matter of rejuvenation of the Defense Force, there was mention of the fact that there is a need now to start talking about the rejuvenation. I thought that we all understand that, in fact, milestone number 1 of the Defense Review Report talks to that matter of rejuvenation of the South African National Defense Force, but not only that, it talks to arresting the decline of the capabilities of the South African National Defense Force. Part of that now, which we are trying to do on the matter which we've raised of aircrafts, we are, yes, indeed, I can confirm here today that indeed we are buying aircrafts. We are buying a VVIP aircraft. You've also mentioned the fact that there is no vetting process of aircrafts, but actually there is a vetting process. This was done through an RT61 contract together with National Treasury, and the vetting of companies which are listed was done together with National Treasury then. So what you have here is an aircraft which is part of the a company which is part of the many other companies which are listed in that RT61 contract.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to say something on the Boko Haram. Honorable, I think that we need to take note of the fact that we do have that Foreign Military Assistance Act, which we passed, which talks to preventing people from becoming mercenaries and go all over the continent doing things without the necessary authorization by the countries of origin, including South Africa. So I don't think we should encourage people to become mercenaries. We should rather encourage Africa to engage on utilizing the resources which Africa has. And I think if that was the approach, I would definitely agree with you. But I certainly don't agree with people who are going all out, who are mercenaries in the name of dealing with terrorism. Terrorism we must condemn. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Order, honorable members. Are there any objection to being read the second time? No objections, agreed to. The bill will be sent to the National Council. Oh, sorry. Let me allow the Secretary to read the bill a second time.
Defense Laws Repeal and Amendment Bill.
Thank you very much. The bill will be sent to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence. Order.
Chairperson.
Oh.
I had thought that you'd, not only by inviting those who second the motion, the bill, but also to check for those who object. But nonetheless, the Economic Freedom Fighters registers its objection.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, the light item on the order paper is a subject for discussion in the name of the Chief Whip of the Opposition. on the ongoing scourge of corruption in South Africa and measures to combat this. Honorable members have been informed that Honorable P.T. Vandame will take charge of the order. I now recognize Honorable Vandame.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. In July this year, the DA visited Nsingweni Primary School near Nkandla. On what was a day of heavy rainfall in the middle of winter, we found learners being taught in classrooms with leaking roofs, broken windows, and no doors. In some classrooms, learners sat shivering while reciting the times table, and in others, they huddled in a corner to prevent the rain from soaking their notebooks. The principal told us that he had for years been appealing for funding for renovations from the KwaZulu-Natal Basic Education Department. None had been forthcoming despite repeated promises. It is no wonder that their requests fell on deaf ears, because last year the department overspent its budget by a staggering 2.6 billion. The over-expenditure was not because of accelerated spending on education, but because the department had unlawfully awarded tenders to politically connected service providers, which then paid twice for a single service. I tell of the sad tale of Nsingweni Primary to demonstrate to the ANC and this House that corruption is not a victimless crime. The learners and teachers at Nsingweni, who were effectively forced to learn and teach outside in the rain in the middle of winter, are the victims of the KZN Education Department's tender fraud and corruption. The DA today stands in support of all South Africans who have chosen to take a stand against corruption. We stand in support of all the hard-working, freedom-loving people of our country who want to work hard and play by the rules. To these people, we say, we understand how corruption makes your lives difficult, how corruption steals from your families. We understand the frustration that comes with waking up every morning to go to work, while others simply choose to steal from the public purse. We understand how difficult it is to see the Northwest Provincial Government stealing 9 billion to pay 36,000 ghost employees while you struggle to find one job. We understand how difficult it must be not to have access to running water, while the Ventersdorp local municipality cannot account for how 95% of the water it purchased disappeared. Sikhala kunye nani. It does certainly seem hopeless at times, but there is hope. Hope for a future where public money is spent for the benefit of the people, not a connected few. A future where public sector corruption is tackled, making government act honestly, transparently, and in the best interest of all South Africans. The DA is the only political party capable of doing this. Our anti-corruption policies have been tried, tested, and delivered where we govern. We clean up the rot left by the ANC in the 27 municipalities we govern, and we can do that for all municipalities around the country. We cleaned up the rot left by the ANC in the Western Cape government and can do so for all provinces. For the doubtful Doras on my left, let me remind you of the Western Cape story and the Cape Town story. In 2006, a DA-led coalition in the city of Cape Town took over from the ANC. The new administration inherited a hot mess of a city. Service delivery was poor, infrastructure deteriorating, and corruption rife. Under the ANC, the municipal tender system had been rigged to become a personal piggy bank for well-connected individuals and ANC loyalists. The DA started by overhauling the city's administrative systems, appointing the right people in the right places, and reprioritizing expenditure. To reduce corruption, the DA made the City of Cape Town's procurement system fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, cost-effective, and in accordance with the Constitution. Today, in addition to advertising tenders in the press, the city maintains a supplier database where suppliers are able to register for free. When the bid adjudication committee meets to adjudicate tenders, the meetings are open to the public. The City of Cape Town is the only municipality in South Africa that does this. To prevent staff from being involved in corrupt activities, all new employees at the City of Cape Town receive ethics training at their inductions. Because of these and other efforts, the City of Cape Town has received 11 consecutive unqualified audits and was the only metro in South Africa last year to receive a clean audit. In the Western Cape Provincial Administration, the same story can be told. In the ANC's last year in office, not one of the 13 departments received a clean audit. In the DA's first year in office, 7 departments achieved clean audits. This year, the Western Cape delivered an unprecedented achievement in the history of South Africa's democracy. It achieved 12 out of 13 clean audits, and 100% were unqualified. Achieving a clean audit is not child's play. So committed is the Western Cape to clean governance that it went searching for 7 missing library books, and fortunately 5 were found. The benefit of a clean audit does not only mean that a government practices sound financial management, but also that money is spent on important services such as education and health, and attracting investment to stimulate growth and job creation. That is why today in the Western Cape, despite a 46% increase in population growth, the province has the highest access to basic services and the lowest unemployment rate in South Africa. Don't be jealous. The Western Cape story and the Cape Town story are indication that good governance and service delivery is possible. It just requires the right government, and that right government is not the ANC, it's the DA. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Vandame. Honorable Mavi.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Throughout its 103 years of its existence, the ANC has always embodied and aspired to the highest morality and values of South African society. Together with other forces of the liberation movement, such as
Honorable members, order.
PAC, AZAPO, SACC, and the UDF defeated apartheid by taking South Africa out of the system of minority rule, which thrived on corruption, into a democratic system that is based on high ethical values. In its 49th conference in Mangaung in 1994, the ANC prepared a process that led to the drawing and adoption of the democratic constitution in 1996. The 50th conference in Mafikeng in 1997 embraced the constitution as the supreme law of the country. The ANC committed itself to the fundamental provisions of the basic law of the land, which accords with its own vision of a democratic and just society. The strategy and tactics also indicates that the apartheid state's practices eroded the moral fiber of South African society, which was illegal and illegitimate. Honorable Deputy Chairperson, the state relied more and more on criminal actions to shore up its fortunes, and in the process, it pulled the rest of society into a maelstrom of corruption and crime. As such, apartheid political and economic relations were not only a brake on the development of the economy, they were also an albatross on the moral sensibilities of society. Therefore, it was not going to be easy dealing with corruption. The Constitution, amongst other institutions, established the Public Protector and the Public Service Commission to investigate and to report to Parliament on malpractices, maladministration in the public administration and public service, respectively, and thus contributing to the prevention of corruption. The 50th ANC conference adopted 2 important resolutions, accountability and on corruption. With regards to accountability for performance within the public service, the conference resolved measures be put in place with the public service which ensure fraud, corruption, and misconduct can be dealt with promptly, and that such acts must be punished urgently, appropriately through disciplinary procedures. Corruption may be understood to be the abuse of power for illegitimate and illegal gain of profit, whether it be exercised in the private or in the public domain. Corruption leads to losses in efficiency and opportunity, and to increased production costs. Hence, it adversely affects development, and as a consequence, results in poverty becoming more prevalent. There are alarmingly high levels of corruption in the private sector. Corruption undermines the objectives of the national democratic revolution. Honorable Chair, we are aware of the political opportunism of the enemies of the ANC in defining all mismanagement as corruption. Therefore, it is important for our enemies also to be able to differentiate between corruption and maladministration. The ANC-led government inherited institutions with an ethos of corruption and personnel engaged in corrupt practices, functioning with a society lacking in morality. They should also be reminded that it is the 50th conference of the ANC that resolved on a nationwide anti-corruption campaign, including the media campaign. Honorable Chair, the opposition should not prevail as if they are champions of fighting corruption. The elimination of corruption was placed high on the agenda of the ANC during the 50th conference. Honorable Chair, we have introduced legislation and regulations aimed at preventing corruption. The Prevention of Organized Crime Act, Money Laundering and Criminal Gang Activities. For ease reference, please refer to the Malema case. It can be used as a practical example. The Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activity Act strengthens measures to prevent and combat corruption and corrupt activities to provide
House Chair.
for investigation.
Arise on a point of order.
Yes, Honorable Mavi, will you please take your seat? Yes, Honorable Matthias.
Can the honourable member take a seat, please? Now,
What is your point,
my point of order is the honourable member knows that there is not a single case that the president of the EFF faces in courts. Now, she's been frivolous to mention his name and even to allege that he is facing some serious corruption charges. So we ask her to withdraw.
Honorable member, okay. Honorable Mavi, I didn't hear her saying that she has facing serious corruption charges. But if she has said that, I will go and check it. But I didn't hear her saying that. Honorable members, I will come back to that. Continue, honorable member.
Honorable Chair.
Yes.
The National Anti-Corruption Forum.
Honorable Mavi, take your seat. Honorable
The procedure is that you must check with the member first.
Honorable member, that is not the procedure.
No, I'm teaching you the procedure.
No.
We raise a point of order, and she said that thing here, and you are listening till here. So the procedure is that you must check with her first. If she denied it, you must go and check the Hansard.
No.
That is a simple procedure, Chair. Otherwise, if you are biased, as always.
Honorable member, that is not the procedure, but I promise I will check the Hansard. Continue, honorable member.
The National Anti-Corruption Forum mobilizes the broader South African society against fraud and corruption. The National Anti-Corruption Hotline, which is now managed by the Public Service Commission, has been hard at work to encourage the public to blow the whistle against corruption. NACH is an important public participation mechanism to report cases of alleged corruption. Cases received from NACH are forwarded to departments, both national and provincial. Department agencies and bodies are required to investigate the cases and provide feedback to the PSC. The successful investigation of cases of all alleged corrupt reported to the NACH has since its inception in 2004 resulted in the recovery of 333 million from perpetrators and various departments, and as a result, more than 3,586 employees were found guilty of misconduct. The financial disclosure framework requires that senior management service members display a high standard of professional ethics by declaring their financial interests. It also checks if those SMS members don't favor their companies in the procurement of goods and services for their departments. The level of compliance has been increased from 47% to 85%. The financial misconduct requires departments to report on finalized financial misconduct cases to the executive authority. The PSC and the DPS say the total number of the finalized financial misconduct cases has decreased to 10,483. Honorable Chair, we appreciate the work done by the PSC, and we also recommend that their recommendations should be implemented. Corrupt individuals are found everywhere, and they are few but manipulative. Knowing that they are doing wrong things, they hide behind powerful structures such as the DA, the EFF, the IFP, in churches, in business, everywhere. Wherever they are, they must be defeated. They know how to use money to manipulate the majority, and out of this manipulative acts, they increase their wealth whilst impoverishing the majority. As representatives of the people, irrespective of our political parties, it is our responsibility to ensure that institutions established by our progressive constitution to fight and prevent corruption, such as the Public Protector and the PSC, are strengthened and supported. Honorable Musimaimane, in your 100 days of leadership, we have experienced that your research unit has not empowered.
Honorable Mabe, please take your seat.
Thank you. May I
Honorable Waters?
May I address you?
Yes, Honorable Waters.
The Honourable Member speaking referred to the Honourable Member of the Opposition as Musimaimane. She did not say Honourable. And we
Honourable
refer to members
Member,
in this House as Honourable. Thank you.
Would you please refer to every member of this House as Honourable?
Honorable Musimaimane, in your 100 days of leadership, we have experienced that your research unit has not empowered you with facts at all. Instead, they have set you up for failure, ill-advised you, and as a result, you are always embarrassed with the motions that you sponsor in this House. If really you are in charge, you have authority, and you are their leader, fire all of them. Together we shall defeat this evil called corruption. Corruption undermines the vision enshrined in the Constitution, the vision of building a South African society which is united, democratic, non-racial, non-sexist, and prosperous. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mabe. Honorable Makause? My apologies, Mukause, not Makause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Order, honorable members.
At least the ANC is acknowledging that the EFF is a powerful organization in these chambers. Honorable House Chair, on the 12th of January 2009, the Supreme Court of Appeal delivered a judgment in the case of National Director of Public Prosecution versus Mr. Zuma, case number 573/08, where it upheld an appeal by the public prosecutor against the judgment by Judge Nicholson, which he had set aside the indictment of Mr. Zuma on 18 main counts of racketeering, corruption, money laundering, tax evasion, and fraud. In effect, the judgment on appeal meant prosecution of Zuma must proceed. That was in January 2009 when Mr. Zuma took office. He achieved nothing since he joined Parliament and since he was in the Union Building. He has broken down all law enforcement processes from SARS, Hawks, South African Police Service, and the NPA to avoid his day in court. Unlike the Commander-in-Chief, President Julius Malema, who appeared before Judge Billy Mohle, and the case was struck off the roll and said, the Commander-in-Chief and the future President of the country was set to go free. Mr. Zuma will forever run away from court, and he has parliament to defend his corruption. Immediately after Moses Pakwe and Alfred Mutsi in the Northwest took evidence to Jacob Zuma in Nkandla, clear evidence showing that former mayor of Rustenburg was selling municipal land and vehicles.
Order, honorable members.
Everything. Moses Pakwe was murdered in front of his house by his own comrades in the ANC, defending corruption. The former Speaker of Mbombela, Jimmy Mhlala, was assassinated by his comrades in the ANC by blowing a whistle of 1.2 billion Mbombela Stadium tender. Today, we are still waiting on the Hawks to tell us how corrupt the Goldfields Mine BE deal is, which involves the Speaker of this Parliament, Ms.
Honorable Mukause.
and Mr. Zuma's representative.
Honorable Mukause, thank you. Please take your seat.
Chair.
Order, honorable members, order. Honorable Bongo.
The honorable member is heard saying that the former Speaker of Mbombela was assassinated. There is no report from courts whatsoever that suggests what she's alleging. Can I request her to withdraw that?
Thank you, honorable member. Please, let's not delay the process.
Truth hurts. Yes. We are being robbed every day, and we are not being robbed by tsotsis in Bagla clubs. It is the ANC politicians and senior government officials, some of whom are sitting here with us today. Public protector, when she read the PRASA report, some are stealing, earning their salaries in state-owned entities and government institutions, but they are members of parliament. It is worse when one looks to the side of the racist white monopoly capital across all sectors, and it is here where you will never hear a word from the DA. First, it was Clover, Nestle, Parmalat, and other companies in the dairy industry who fixed the prices of milk. In a society where more than 10 million South Africans go to bed in empty stomach, it's sickening. It was Tiger Brands, Pioneer Foods, and Premier Foods who fixed the price of bread. In a society where Mupelele, 4 children in Swartling, Northwest, died of hunger. The directors of these companies must have been jailed for murder. In the construction industry, the same is happening. In the mining sector, all companies fail to meet the mining charter, and they continue to loot and operate illegally. And in Durban terminal ports, containers come to the country, and only to open a factory in Boksburg, all the way from Durban, without inspection. Honorable House Chair, what is clear is that there is conspiracy against the public, the poor, and the homeless in particular, by the ANC government.
Your time has
where
expired.
This government, the multi-million companies commit grand-scale corruption through aggressive tax avoidance. This was demonstrated by Lon Min.
Honorable Mukause,
of 1.3 billion
please.
to a ghost company in Bermuda,
Your time has
while
expired.
refusing to pay the workers in Marikana.
Mukause, please. Honorable Shangwa.
Honorable House Chairperson, honorable members, corruption in South Africa is endemic and has defiantly become synonymous with all aspects of public service. It has become standard and an accepted practice in this government. One might even say that it has developed into an art form ably practiced by skilled proponents in government. From those situated in the highest office, corruption has become the alpha and omega of their work. Everyone seems involved. Many government officials want to get paid for a favor here or turning a blind eye there. There is no such thing as a free lunch. There is no such thing as an unencumbered act of public service. The days of rule of law, transparency, constitutionalism, accountability of government departments, fitness by public officials to hold office have all been sacrificed on the altars of cronyism, nepotism, killer deployment, maladministration, fraud, and widespread corruption. It is getting worse. It is increasing like a cancer seeking to destroy its host body. In our case, if left unchecked, will destroy South Africa. In January this year, it was estimated by the Institute of Internal Auditors that South Africa had lost a whopping 700 billion rands to corruption over the last 20 years. How different would South Africa be today had the 700 billion rands been channeled into proper provision for public service channels? How many citizens now living in informal housing settlements would have proper homes? How many poor students could have furthered their education? How many roads could have been built? The list of service delivery achievements which could have been achieved is endless. The Honourable President ironically stated in January this year, and I quote, that South Africa has a strong anti-corruption architecture and that with cooperation between government, the private sector, non-governmental organizations and political parties will be able to make a difference in eradicating corruption, which is what our people expect of us, close quote. This is very rich, of course, coming from the very man who, at his own behest, the Scorpions made their demise. Even richer, coming from the very man who, through his own known accountability, has allowed corruption to become a culture of his administration. If the president is serious about fighting corruption, he should lead by example and walk the talk all the way to court. In June, a report by the World Justice Project, Rule of Law Index, found that South Africa scored low in its capacity to impose sanctions for official government misconduct. Corruption must be rooted out at its source. A line must be drawn in the sand which says this far and no further. Government, if serious about the eradication of corruption, must take a long, hard look at itself, as shameful as that might be. But the conclusion must be that Chapter 9 institutions, such as the Public Protector, should be supported and not vilified and attacked. The rule of law and accountability over public funds and their administration must be restored. We have the laws, and the times and circumstances now are upon us to implement without fear, favor, or compromise. The bottom line is, again, I thank you, Chair.
Siyabonga. Mhlonishwa Mabika.
Honorable House Chair, we do not have accurate statistics on corruption, but the Auditor General estimated that corruption cost the South African economy in the region of 20 to 30 billion rand annually. This is in line with the estimation of the Institute of Internal Auditors earlier this year that corruption has cost South Africa an estimated 700 billion rand over the past 20 years. There is a well-known saying that a fish rots from the head, close quotes. And this is particularly relevant for us in South Africa. We have an ANC government that has perfected the art of institutionalized corruption, using its parliamentary majority to effectively suppress any in-depth investigation and protecting their own, as we have seen with Nkandla recently. The first major corruption scandal involving the post-1994 government was the arms deal, which to this day has not been dealt with. The floodgates of corruption were opened when it became apparent that the ANC government will protect their own at whatever cost. The so-called Travelgate scandal followed, and soon corruption became an everyday occurrence. The list of corruption scandals goes on and on, ranging from high-ranking ANC cadre employees such as Honorable Begicele and ministers such as Dinapule, to municipal mayors such as Obed Mlaba and many of the tenderpreneurs who have become very wealthy very suddenly. This roll call of dishonor makes a mockery of our constitution, which requires of government to be transparent and accountable. The burning question is, what measures can be taken to combat this scourge of corruption which has become endemic in South Africa? We believe that the first step should be
Honorable Mabika.
Of the corruption.
Honorable Mabika, will you please take your seat? Honorable Chief Whip.
I suggest the NFP should teach the new member. There is something called you bring any accusation on any sitting member through a substantive motion. The honorable member chooses Honorable Begicele of a corruption which he has not submitted in
Thank you very
substantive.
much.
He must withdraw now.
I think the motion is sustained. Honorable Mabika, Honorable Becky Kele is a member of this House, and if there are any corruption accusation against him, you are allowed to bring a substantive motion. Will you please?
But
withdraw?
Honorable Chair, why was he expelled from his position?
Honorable member, Honorable member, please. We are in a house here. Can we use the rules of the House as they appear?
It's on record, though. We
Can you
believe
please,
that.
Honorable Mabika, Honorable Chief Whip, please take your seat. Honorable Mabika, you are not allowed, as I have explained. Will you please withdraw the accusation against Honorable Becky Kele as a member of the House?
Chair, I was quoting from the report of the public protector.
Honorable member. Honorable member.
And that resulted in Honorable Becky Kele removed as the Commissioner of Police.
Honorable member, that's not what you referred to. If that is the case, you didn't refer to that, but I will check that.
Okay.
Thank you. Continue.
We believe that the first step should be to get rid of the corruption-driven ANC government of the day. A government that does not protect its citizens from corruption by its own has no moral right to govern. Other measures that could be taken include strengthening of the powers of the public protector, securing the independence of the prosecuting authorities, and swift legal action against any government employee found to be involved in corruption, regardless of their political affiliation.
Member,
thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Brouchers, I'm sorry for pronouncing your name wrongly. If it is, thanks. Continue, Honorable Brouchers.
Thank you, House Chair.
Order, honorable members.
Honourable members, it is indeed the custom and tradition of this House to stay away from controversy when delivering one's maiden speech. Whilst that is a noble tradition, it is now impossible when debating the issue of corruption. I therefore ask members to keep their emotions and sensitivities in check and join me in having a hard, cold look at the facts. Honourable members, I am blessed to be the proud father of two beautiful girls. Parenthood brings many lessons and much experience. The first lesson from my older brother, who advised the following: when you promise a reward, go out of your way to deliver that reward. When you promise a punishment, make damn sure you deliver, no matter the pain you feel as a loving parent. The lesson, honourable members, is clear. You have to follow through and be consequent on your undertakings. Honourable members, as the collective parents of our nation, we must acknowledge that the governing party has failed our children in this regard. They have been quick to reward with bonuses and incentives, but have shied away from punishing when necessary. We have fine legislation in the PFMA, the MFMA, Treasury regulations, and a myriad of other prescriptive acts. Indeed, Honourable Marby listed a whole long list of wonderful new things the ANC are going to do shortly. But it all means nothing, Honourable Marby, if you have a government like ours that is hopeless at enforcing any of these laws. As a result, these departments and entities that have gone unpunished for a period of time have become habitual offenders. This culture has given rise to an environment where certain department and state entities appear before Parliament to explain audit concerns year after year after year. Amongst the repeat offenders are the Departments of Correctional Services, Home Affairs, Public Works, Water and Sanitation, and its water trading entity. Since 2005, the Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation has consistently appeared before their own portfolio committee, as well as SCOPA, for failing to record intangible assets properly and for flagrantly contravening supply chain management procedures. Correctional Services has been receiving qualified and disclaimer audit opinions for 20 years. 20 years. It's absolutely amazing. Not only does it appear regularly before its portfolio committee, but it has also been invited on several occasions to explain its audit shortcomings to Scopa. The Department of Works is so rotten that when they recently conducted an audit of 1.5 million transactions, they found 350,000 of them to be irregular. It's absolutely incredible. You wouldn't believe it if it was in a movie. Home Affairs receives disclaimer after disclaimer after disclaimer. Now let's remind ourselves, a disclaimer is the Auditor General saying, you are so wayward in your administration that we can't even tell you how bad you are. That's how ridiculous it is. A further example is the third-party fund, which is the petty cash box of our justice system. The JDAS computer system, which is supposed to manage the funds, is such a mess that it in fact has become a lucky dip fund for criminal elements in the criminal justice system who pilfer it at the expense of desperate mothers awaiting to receive their maintenance payments, and these mothers survive hand to mouth, month to month. And we have not even had the time in this debate to look at municipalities like Makana and Madibeng, where mismanagement, fraud, and infrastructural collapse are the order of the day, and have led to 5 consecutive disclaimers without any discernible remedial action from the executive authorities. In fact, we would need a 3-hour debate just to handle the municipalities and the problems there. Honourable members, every year Scopa presents a host of reports for adoption to this House. These reports detail findings on each area of concern and direct the relevant department and entities to adopt remedial action and report back to Scopa within 90 days. Sadly, unfortunately, most recipients place these advisories on a shelf to collect dust or in file 13 where they remain. Few departments, if ever, report back to Scopa on the results of their remedial action. And the result is an ever-growing corruption bill that robs our nation of the services it deserves to the tune of around about 30 billion rand per year. And where action is taken against financial miscreants, very unusually when action is taken, we have no flagging system to make sure that these same persons do not re-enter the public service via another department. There is, however, a way to fix all of this. There is light at the end of the tunnel. All departments and entities, by way of the PFMA and various Treasury regulations, have to have internal audit units. Internal audit units, if properly resourced and properly funded, can help with all these situations. However, it is common cause that whenever you have a department that has a disclaimer, if you go and have a look, you will find that the internal audit committee is dysfunctional. Or you will find that it's not being taken seriously by the accounting officer or the executive political head. But it is this very unit, internal audit, that assists departments in managing their affairs on a daily, monthly, and annual basis to make sure that the process of accounting for all their actions is a process and not a crazy mad scramble when the Auditor General is about to come and visit. Now, when we look at all of this, we have to look at where is the solution. Well, we can see the solution with the Democratic Alliance, because where it governs in the Western Cape, the Cape Metro, and a host of other municipalities, we have achieved unqualified audit opinions year after year after year. We take the consequence management issue seriously, and we apply consistent management. We take heed of Chapter 9 institutions like the Auditor General and respect their recommendations. And we equip our internal audit committees with the personnel and the resources they need, and we listen to them. And so we have the tale of two governments, honourable members. The tale of two governments. The ANC experiencing the worst of times, and the DA reaping the best of times. The ANC paralysed by inaction and a fear of political consequence for taking tough decisions. The DA committed to consequent, excellent governance regardless of the political fallout. The people of South Africa, our collective children, will make their choice in 2016. And they will choose the best of governments. They will choose the Democratic Alliance. Siyaza, we are coming.
Honourable Filtane.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, as the country discusses in Parliament the scourge of corruption, members of the Cabinet are either absent from the House or the few who are here are paying scant attention. But here we move. The people out there are listening. Corruption, poverty eradication, job opportunity creation, and closing the gap between the poor and the rich are permanent enemies that cannot share the same bed. It undermines the people that it renders their freedom unstable and insecure, making it impossible to achieve the kind of society envisaged in the Constitution. A quick look at the effects of corruption over the 20 years will tell you that. In 1994, the ruling party contested the election under the slogan, "A Better Life for All." Now, the results are that it cannot be a better life for all, because that was not the case. Late Brenda Fassie put it this way, kuya ngokuthi ungubani, uphila nobani, udlisa kanjani, ungena kwindawo ezinjani. That's how you get to a better life for all. It had to be a better life for all. That is what the struggle
honorable
was
members,
all
let's
about.
allow the member to be heard.
After all, this is what many went to jail for and went to exile for, with some even risking and being killed, risking their lives. In 1999, the slogan was, "Together fighting for change." But alas, it cannot be presumed that this referred to the change of the lives of South Africans, especially those of women, children, and the youth, because the results speak differently, because of corruption. While some education and health crumbles, corruption is on the rise. Whilst the fight for the so-called security upgrades in Kandla is on the high, the rest of the rural communities will live under the same and sometimes even worse conditions than they were before the dawn of democracy. Yet corruption is on the rise. 2004, the rallying cry was a people's contract to work, to create work and fight poverty. Recent results show, as pronounced in 2011, that over 30 billion per annum is lost to corruption. Corruption continues to be on the rise. We thought this was a people's contract to fight poverty. We live in dire conditions because of corruption. 2009, the slogan was, "Together we can do more." Guess what? More got rich, few got rich, more got poorer. To close it off, 2014, together we move South Africa forward. What is moving forward is the looting of the public purse at a speed higher than that of the tsunami. That is what we are experiencing. Corruption has reached a point where people of South Africa must now stand up and reclaim their freedom from the ruling elite. An element of a constituency-based electoral system.
Honorable member, your time is up.
The time to reclaim our freedom is now. Corruption is on the rise.
Agbare voorsitter, die spreker van die ANC het gesê dat hierdie debat is maar 'n opportunistiese poging van die vyande van die ANC om hulle maar net swart te smeer. Voorsitter, die Instituut vir Interne Auditeure het bevind dat die afgelope 20 jaar die staat 700 miljard rand verloor het aan staatskorrupsie. Is dit opportunisme? Nee, dis 'n skande. Besef die agbare lede dat dit basies die helfte is van die land se totale begroting wat verloor is weens korrupsie. Die president kom met elke opening van die parlement en dan spog hy om te sê wat hulle doen om korrupsie te beveg. Daar is nie minder as 7 instellings wat korrupsie moet beveg nie. Nie minder as 17 wette wat korrupsie moet voorkom nie. Maar dan vra mense jou die vraag af. As jy al hierdie instellings het, jy het al hierdie wetgewing en daar steeds nog al hierdie korrupsie, wat is fout? En dis die skande wat die regering van die dag moet antwoord. Want die hoof van die spesiale ondersoekeenheid het reeds bevind dat daar jaarliks ongeveer 30 tot 40 miljard rand van die staat se geld in korrupsie verlore gaan. Dis die swaar verdiende geld van ons mense wat moet belasting betaal en u plunder die staatskas en dit gaan net eenvoudig vir korrupsie. As ons gaan kyk byvoorbeeld dat die valke wat een instelling is, sodra die valke 'n ondersoek moet doen om korrupsie te voorkom en hy begin te naby beweeg aan die eiendom van die president, dan moet die hoof van die valke ontslaan word. Dan is luitenant-generaal Dramat nie meer geskik om korrupsie te beveg nie. Wat gebeur dan? Dan kom die regering van die dag en hy wil hom 'n goue handdruk gee, hy koop hom eintlik om. Dit is eintlik verdere korrupsie, want dit is die belastingbetaler se geld wat u gebruik om 'n persoon 'n goue handdruk te gee om te sê moet asseblief nie verder gaan met jou ondersoek na korrupsie nie. So kan ons gaan kyk na die vervolgingsgesag. Daar's hoeveel instellings wat korrupsie moet beveg, maar die oomblik as hulle van die goed wil openbaar maak, dan is daar skielike omstredenheid rondom die hoof daarvan. Voorsitter, en ek wil daarom nou ook vir die DA sê, hulle kom spog hier. Ek wil maar net vir u sê, daar's 'n spreekwoord wat sê, hy wat in glashuise bly, moenie klippe gooi nie. Moenie laat ons daai debat voer nie. Maar wat ek wil vir u sê, hoe maak ons hierdie ding reg? Daar's net een manier, agbare voorsitter, die ANC regering moet vervang word. Dit is al wat hierdie land sal red van korrupsie.
Order, honorable member. Honorable member Matisha.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now is the time for this parliament to accept that corruption daily destroys the people of South Africa. Hence we have, as a country, millions of our people who die daily due to unemployment, due to poverty and hunger. I mean, we talk here of more than 40% of the people of our country who are not employed. Corruption permeates state administration where kickbacks and mega contracts cannot be accounted. Just to mention a few examples. One reason for the proliferation of corruption is what is called cadre deployment, where you will have inter alia employment of spouses, etc., etc. Now, the so-called cadres are fleecing our country. 30 billion rand and perhaps even more is lost annually through irregular spending. The Public Finance Management Act is routinely bypassed, especially in the Department of Public Works. This opens the way for the massive corruption. PFMA is there, but the ruling party will not enforce it stringently. The Auditor General repeatedly brings up issues, and you know what? He has lamented the fact that no one in government really wants to tackle the thorny issues. So corruption entrenches itself. The ruling party needs corruption to survive. What is Inkandla, for example? It is a premier example of enormous corruption. Who protects it? The ruling party, of course. Who disbanded the Scorpions? The ruling party, of course. Who appointed Ellen Chabalala to a top position? The ruling party, of course. By appointing people with low ethical standards to key positions in government and the criminal justice system, the ruling party ensures that corruption can continue with benefits for the political elite. Those willing to shut their eyes, close their ears, and sacrifice their principles sit comfortably on that side. The ruling party presides unconcerned over endemic corruption, and so corruption has rooted itself deeper and deeper. The new struggle for the common people now taking shape must be the struggle against the corrupt aristocracy, living a royal and expansive life. Zuma and
Honorable
ANC,
Swart.
for as long as they lead the country,
Honorable Madison, your
forget
time
our
is up.
country shall never go anywhere.
Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, corruption remains one of the most significant challenges to good governance, sustainable economic growth, peace, stability and development in South Africa. And whilst corruption may outrage middle and upper classes on moral grounds, it totally ravages the poor. Now, the ACDP believes that we will not be able to address systemic poverty until we address systemic corruption. And it is unacceptable. As a result of the ACDP's question in the Justice Committee to the SIU as to the extent of corruption, the answer was 30 billion rand estimated per year. This is unacceptable, and it is probably only the tip of the iceberg, and greater urgency is needed. So how does one address this? We have got robust anti-corruption legislation, but the laws are not adequately enforced. We're on record as well for calling for increased internal audits, increased capacity of law enforcement agents, such as the Hawks, NPA, SIU, and the Asset Forfeiture Unit. Now, the SIU said that if they had additional capacity, they would be able to recover millions and millions of more rands that have been lost through maladministration and corruption. And we believe that is a way to start. But we also see how, it was pointed out by earlier speakers, Lieutenant General Dramat of the Hawks, how as soon as he came close to investigating issues close to politically aligned persons, he was removed. This is unacceptable. And, Chairperson, we also need to have a look, of course, at the Public Protector, a key institution in fighting corruption and maladministration. Now, it's very interesting that during the debates around in Kandla and in the Portfolio Committee, the leader of the Economic Freedom Front, the Economic Freedom Fighters, Mr. Malema, Honorable Malema, he said that he was deployed by the ANC to close the Scorpions, and that the ANC was doing the same thing to the Public Protector. Now, that is right out of the house of the ANC, and it cannot be contested. So we see, how can we speak about fighting corruption when we see this issue?
Order, Honourable Member. Honourable Swart, can you take a seat?
I meant it as a commendation, Honourable Member.
Swart, can you take a seat? What's the point of order, Honourable Member?
Yes, I want to call him to order because he's trying to...
Can you address the chair? What is your point of order, yes?
The point of order is that he's casting the aspersion about our president, that he said he's closed the Scorpion, which is not true. Because that is a...
Thank you, Honourable Member.
He can't prove.
We will reflect on the matter and then come back to the House. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Honourable Swart.
Chairperson, thank you. Lastly, I would
Order,
like to...
Honourable Members.
Honourable House Chair.
Honourable Member, what's your point of order?
May I address you?
What's the point of
the
order?
The Honourable Member is casting aspersion on our leader.
Order, Honourable Member.
The Speaker knows very well that the leader of EFF is not in...
Honourable Member, I have asked you to hold on because I had already addressed your member on the same matter.
Honourable House Chair.
Can you allow me to finish? I said to your member who raised the same point, we would look at Hansard and come back to the House. So you won't expect me to make a ruling on the matter that you are rising on, because you are rising on the same matter of casting aspersion. So that matter will be looked into, and I will come back to the House to make a ruling. So we'll allow the member to continue. Honourable Swart.
House Chair.
Honourable House Chair. Chairperson, we commend civil society initiatives such as the Unite Against Corruption March, which will take place on the 23rd of September this year, mobilizing churches, civil society, trade unions, and ordinary citizens who are tired of corruption. Lastly, we would also urge members to support the Unashamedly Ethical movement in South Africa. This was founded by a member who believed that active opposition to corrupt behavior, and a groundswell of public support for ethics, values, and clean living is necessary. And we would urge members to look at this and sign the pledge that is available on the Unashamedly Ethical website, and thereby commit themselves to organizations to clean,
member,
ethical living and practices. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Tom.
Ndiyabulela kakhulu sihlalo obekekileyo. Lusizi lumilodwa emnqamlezweni. Ubunokude ucinge ukuba amaqela aphikisayo ayawube seyikhulele kunamhlanje nje into yokukhomba omnyesweni babe bevikela elabo iliso. Lugxeko olutheni olu olude ludale ukuba abantu bamfameke. Kodwa ke akunokothuka xa kukudala usidlamazimba. Kwimagazini ekuthiwa yiChallenge yenyanga kaMarch 1994, umfundisi uAlbert Nolan wathetha wenjenje. Cynicism is not just a matter of finding fault with everyone all the time. Cynicism scoffs and sneers at the human effort and questions the sincerity of everyone's or almost everyone's motives. It is so easy to dip into this mood of cynicism, especially when others around you indulge in it, which makes it important for us to stop and think because cynicism is a form of self-righteousness and therefore a sinfully destructive attitude of mind. Umfundisi uCredo Dola yena kule qawi phelileyo uchilo wathi lo mkhwa wenza abantu bahlale benomsindo ngamaxesha onke. Andiqondi ke ukuba ukhona umuntu ofuna ukuhlala esilwa kuba inzima ingubo yokulwa. iAfrican National Congress ilwe iminyaka emininzi, idiniwe kukulwa. Chairperson, the ANC is committed to a corrupt-free society. This is in the 2014 manifesto.
On a point of order, House Chair. Point of order.
Honorable Tom, can you take your seat? Honorable member, what's your point of order?
The Speaker cannot be allowed to mislead us. The ANC president have so many counts of corruption.
Honorable member.
Yet the Speaker says the ANC is committed.
Honorable member, I stopped you because you are not rising on a point of order. It's a point of opinion. Political opinions can be debated when somebody has got an opportunity to engage in debates. Points of orders about what they are indeed referred to as point of order. Can we allow Honorable Tom to proceed? Order, Honorable Tom. Honorable Pando.
Chairperson, I apologize for interrupting Honorable Tom. However, the Honorable member of the EFF has stood up on several occasions in the House accusing members of misleading the House. That is a breach of the rules. And I do ask you, Chairperson, to look into this matter and rule on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We will indeed do so. Honorable Tom, can you proceed?
Madam Chair, I rise on a point of order.
Honorable Member, what's your point of order?
It's really waste of time for a member, Honorable Naledi Pando, to rise on a point of order on a baseless reason. In that, allow me a second. she tried to deprive a member a right to speak and on the rules that are provided in the House. So a member can rise and speak on any matter on a point of order, and even caution the chair if a member is misleading the House.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Let me just indicate there was no interference by Honourable Pando on a member. I ruled on your member on what she was rising on. I have said I will look into the matter and we will do so. Can you proceed, Honourable Tom? Chair? Honourable Tom, can you take your seat? Honourable Maxine, what's your point of order? What's your point of order?
May I address you?
Are you rising on a point of order?
Chair, can we be treated fairly here? I'm just appealing on you as the chair. And I've been saying this, we are not the chairperson of the ANC while we are there. We are the chairperson of this house. We all belong to this house. You just switch a microphone for Honourable Member of EFF.
Yes, I did.
Because we are so impatient with EFF. But when Honourable Pando stood up, you allow her to finish her point. We are very biased, Chairperson. This
Honourable
is unfair.
Maxine, thank you very much. Can you take your seat? I think it would do all of us wise to listen to one another and also to listen to the chairs. Because the reason I stopped the mic of your Honourable Member, I explained the reason why. She was not rising on a point of order. She was making her opinion heard, which she has a right to do in a point of debate, not on a point of order. And I think I've ruled on that one, Honourable Maxine, so we can proceed with the debate. What's your point of order
Chair,
again?
My argument with you is that we are very impatient with her. You were supposed to allow her to finish, and then you must rule after she has spoken. But because we are very biased in this house, you are treating us as stepchildren. You don't even wait until she finishes. But when is the ANC member stood up, you allow them to speak until they finish. That is my appeal
Honourable
to you.
Maxine.
Stop doing that,
Honourable
Chair.
Maxine.
And we are respecting you very much, but you disappointing us on each and every day.
Can you please write to the Speaker's office if you have got any concern about the matter in which this House has been run?
Chair, it won't help us even the Speaker's
Okay,
bias.
take your seat then. Thank you. Honourable Tom, can you proceed?
The ANC is committed to a corrupt-free society, ethical behavior across society, and a government that is accountable to the people. Corruption is a broad societal problem, prevalent in both the public and the private sectors, requiring the commitment of all actors in society to eradicate it. All uxanduva ayiloxanduva lukabani, luxanduva lwethu sonke singabemi belilizwe, into yokuba silulwe. Chairperson, into esiyaziyo thina yeyokuba ngaliphi na ixesha, ingakumbi xa kusondele ukhetho, abantu bathi qada beze ngaphambili besiza nezinto abacimba ukuba zizawuexcita uluntu. Yenye yezinto ke lo ndaba mlonyeni wezinto abazizisa ngaphambili. Ibalulekile ke indlela esidefine ngayo i-corruption, into yoba singakhethi izinto ezithile apha kuyo, koko size nayo kakuhle ukwenzela uba wonke umntu acacelwe. Phambi kokuba sikhululeke ngo-1993 kukho imihlaba eyanikezwayo apha eWestern Cape, imihlaba eyanikezwa ebantwini ngemali engekhoyo. Umzekelo, Welcome Properties, i-value yale property 1.9 million. Kurentwa nge-4,210. Banikiwe ke into yoba sininika iminyaka engama-25 into yoba nirente ngemali engekhoyo. Eyesibini Okwesibini, iDal Yosafat 11 million ixabiso lale property irentwa namhlanje nge-5,500 rand kuphela. Uye ke ngoku kwi-fishermen's cottages, ixabiso lezi cottages 1.2 million. Kodwa ixabiso eliswe ngayo yiranti ngenyanga for iminyaka engama-25. Yintoni ke lonto? Iyafuna lento into yoba xa sithetha ngezi zinto sigqale sazi kananjalo into yokuba i-corruption le isityhutyhile sisonke, makungabikho okhomba omunye embusweni avikele iso lakhe. Umbutho kaKhongolose ufike ikhona i-corruption, wenza iminzame ebesezixeliwe apha ngu-Honorable Mabe into yokuba iliwe i-corruption. Yinto ekhoyo le esingena kuyiphikisa nakancinci. Zininzi izinto ebezisenzeka ngexesha lobandlululo ekutyiwa kuzo imali ngendlela engummangaliso, urhwaphilizo lokuqala nelokugqibela. Kodwa ezo nto ingene i-ANC, ezinye yazo yazinqanda. Honorable Chair, ibalulekile kakhulu into yokuba singamalungu alendlu yowiso mthetho siziqwalasele izinto ezilungileyo ezenziweyo nguKhongolose, sizichaze njengokuba sisenza ezingalunganga. Ibalulekile loo nto kuba kaloku into eyenzekayo ngoku, abantu nezinto bazibonayo zisenzeka bazifaka i-blinkers, bangaboni izinto ezenzekayo ezilungileyo. Honorable Speaker, rooting out corruption is key to economic and social emancipation. The ANC is committed to undoing the effects of colonial domination, which resulted in the elements of national oppression and capitalism. And these two elements are interconnected and mutually reinforcing. And thus, untimely building a South Africa that lives up to the ideals of the Freedom Charter. We want a South Africa in which all citizens have an equal opportunity to participate in an economy that is not monopolized by a small section of the society. Abantu ke ndandiyithethile apha ekuqaleni, ndiyayithetha nangoku into yoba umntu othi ufuna ukukhulula abantu kule nkululeko yingcuka eyambethe ufele lwegusha. The ANC is working very hard, Honorable Chair. We are working to eradicate the threats that are there, that are threatening governance. And these have been enumerated by Honorable Mabe. Ending corruption is possible. All it requires is honesty, integrity, and an unwavering moral compass. And to adapt a quote by Nelson Mandela, corruption is man-made, and it can be eradicated by the actions of human beings. Ndanditshilo ngaphambili ndisatsho nangoku ukuba umntu othi ufuna ukukhulula abantu kule nkululeko bakuyo ufuna ukubasa engcinezelweni. uSteve Biko kwincwadi yakhe ethi I write what I like uyayicacisa into yokuba in adopting the line of a non-racial approach, the liberals are playing their old games. They are claiming a monopoly on intelligence and moral judgment and setting a pattern and pace for the realization of black men's aspirations. They want to remain in good books with both blacks and whites. They want to shy away from all forms of extremism, condemning white supremacy as just being as bad as black power. They facilitate between the two worlds, verbalizing all complaints of the blacks beautifully, while skillfully extracting what suits them from the pool of white privilege. But ask them for a moment to give you concrete and meaningful programs that they intend adopting. Then you'll see on which side they are. Their protests are directed at finally convincing the white electorate and that the black man is also a man, and that in some future he should be given a place in the table of the white man. Sifuna ukuthi mabalumke abantu bakuthi ezingcuka zambethe ufelelwe gusha. I-corruption yona yinto ekhoyo ekufuna sisonke siyilwe, siyeke lento yokukhombana omunye akhomba omunye esweni, omunye avikele iso lakhe. Ndiyabulela.
Order, honorable member, time is up. Honorable Nchaisa.
Thank you, Chairperson. I can say once the word corruption is mentioned, everyone is feeling the heat. I'll just confine myself now to the topic, which talks about the scourge of corruption and the measures that are supposed to be taken to fight this corruption. Thank you very much. The ongoing scourge of corruption in South Africa is a matter of great concern, Honorable Chairperson. It is just a running sore that needs immediate attention. There's corruption in each and every department. The following are some of the causes of corruption: the improper tender system, the deployment of cadres under the cloak of democracy and of having suffered a lot during apartheid, nepotism, appointment of unqualified people and friends, the lack of proper leadership and management, and the existence of arrogance on the part of many, the abuse of power, the failure to observe rule of law, and the failure to uphold constitution. Those are some of the causes of corruption. If you can do away with those, then our country would be in a good position. The following should be done to combat this scourge of corruption. Let us all do away with the corrupt tender system, more especially in the municipalities. There's no need at all for a tender that a job can be done by the government officials. Then now you issue a tender. Let those officials do the work. If a tender is to be issued, there must be a tender board composing of all the relevant stakeholders and the beneficiaries in particular. There must be efficient and effective monitoring and evaluation. I'm just talking about the measures that should be taken to put an end to this corruption. Cadre deployment should now be a history. Only those that qualify for the job should be appointed. The government should get rid of the employment of the relatives. Government work should not be a family matter, but a community and a national matter. In order to take South Africa forward and fight corruption, we need true leaders who can be trusted at all times, even in the absence of these very monitors. The arrogance on part of those in power is a matter of great concern. It cannot be correct, Honorable Chairperson, for those in power to arrogantly do something simply because they cannot be challenged successfully. Democracy does not mean the exclusion of the minority.
Honorable member. Honorable Mbinda.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. The PAC notes this motion and looks at it from two paradigms. The first one is that there is an increase in the exposure of corruption. Secondly is that corruption is inherent in the system. On the first paradigm, you note elements like Inkandla that have been discussed a lot in this House, the Public Protector's report on PRASA, the 37,000 ghost employees in Northwest, the killing of tenders in Mpumalanga, and many others. So corruption is really there, and it is large, but it is not a new phenomenon. The Auditor General's reports are littered with fruitless and wasteful expenditure. This magnitude of corruption will definitely destroy this nation. Looking at the evidence before us, if we limit our experience on mainstream media, you will definitely say that corruption is increasing, but that is an artificial picture. The real picture lies in the other perspective. The perspective that says that the capitalist system itself is corrupt and it brews corruption. Most of corrupt practices are actually legislated and look very legal. What drives corruption lies in a Gini coefficient which explains the difference in society. South Africa sits among the highest in discrepancies of economic distribution. Standing at 65 on a scale of 100 means that the inequalities are extremely high. You do not get this phenomenon in the developed nation. You find it in a colonial setup, which means that South Africa remains a family colonial state. This difference and inequality drives crimes in the country. The value system that we have adopted are corrupt themselves. The solution, as the PAC sees it, a revolution, a total transformation of our value system, a change in the economic distribution. In the new value system, we need to put people before profit, then hold the state accountable for this primary objective, and hold officials accountable for these things. Lastly, we need to make effect of the blacklisting databases for corrupt officials, companies, and directors. And then if you still want to know if the PAC is as strong, you must ask the EFF by university.
Order, Honourable Member. Honourable Godi, is he in the House? Honourable Chief Whip of the Opposition.
Thank you very much, House Chair. I think it's an absolute disgrace that the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts is not in this debate today, but clearly he got another brown envelope told to stay away from the debate today. But I think it's even more disgusting to see the ANC benches. And it seems that we're going to have to start bringing more and more motions of no confidence, because that's the only way we get the ANC members of Parliament here in the benches to come and do their job. Completely empty today. The noted academic Arvind Jain, who wrote a seminal article on corruption, said this, and I quote, "Recent studies on impact of corruption indicate that its effects tend to reverberate throughout an economy rather than be confined to specific corruption-based transactions. Corruption seems to affect the level of investment, entrepreneurial incentives, and the design or implementation of rules and regulations regarding access to resources and assets within a community." Close quote. And nowhere is this more prevalent in the housing application lists around the country. We see there's no transparent waiting lists, and ANC councillors use these housing opportunities as a way to get personal power within their communities. There's no allocation processes, and very often, rather than the houses going to people who actually deserve them, they actually go to family members and friends of the African National Congress. And many citizens who deserve these opportunities are denied them on a daily basis. The same goes with expanded public works program jobs, where it's only those connected to the ANC cadres who can access it. Many, again, family and friends of ANC councillors. The same with tenders. Now, I thought it was quite interesting that the Honourable Mabe was able to come up here today. And let's not forget, the Honourable Mabe is the chair of the Standing Committee on the Portfolio Committee of Public Service and Administration. And she spoke at great lengths today about the Public Service Commission. But you know what? She also said, if I remind you, that we must all respect and uphold the Public Service Commission's findings. The Public Service Commission came to her committee a little while ago and asked for more powers because their reports are continuously ignored. And the Honourable Mabe said, no, we're not going to give you more powers, you've got enough. She spoke about the hotline. What she doesn't tell you is that the National Anti-Corruption Hotline, only 36% of 14,149 cases of suspected corruption in 2013 and 14 have been closed. Now, if you're going to come here and tell me that's an achievement, then I really despair for you. So essentially what you've done is rendered the Public Service Commission, which you laud as an achievement, as a toothless body with no enforcement powers whatsoever. And this happened on your watch. Now, she also says that the ANC have always advanced the moral high ground, the highest moral standards. Clearly, and I hope the Chief Whip's paying attention, Honourable Mabe hasn't done her reading ahead of the National General Council that's coming up. Because under the heading of organisational challenges in your own documents, under the heading factionalism and money politics, it says the critical weaknesses here are sapping the very core of your organisation. There hasn't been a systematic campaign to root this out. And here's the killer punchline. In their own document, many of the acts of corruption in government derive from party dynamics. Well, if that is an admission, I don't know. She blamed everybody else. She blamed everybody else in the country for corruption. I kept thinking, oh, Jan van Riebeck was going to come out for a last hurrah here as well, because he seems to be to blame for a lot of things in South Africa. The Honourable Tom as well, she comes up here, tries to give us an academic lecture. I thought she was in the Heritage Day debate. I didn't know she was talking about corruption, but nonetheless, made some points there. What she doesn't tell you is that she is the former MEC of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture in the Eastern Cape. And do yourself a favour and go and have a look at some of the Auditor General's reports of her department when she was MEC. They read like a horror story, colleagues. And yes, we are angry. We are angry because we're angry that state resources are being plundered on a daily basis. We're angry that our citizens are being robbed of opportunities and are homeless and hungry. And if that doesn't make you angry, Honourable Tom, then I don't know what should. The truth is that the ANC don't want the Scorpions. They don't want the Public Protector. They don't want a strong Public Service Commission. They don't want a competent Police Commissioner. They don't want an independent Director of National Public Prosecutions, because they know that if we have those strong institutions and they are strengthened and given the power that they deserve, many of the comrades on this side of the House will be sitting on the wrong side of the bars.
Honourable Bongo.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. Honourable Chair, one of the greatest theoreticians and a revolutionary, an icon of the struggle of the liberation of the people of Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, Amilcar Cabral, when talking about the truth and lies, had this to say, and I quote, "Hide nothing from the masses of our people. Tell no lies. Expose lies whenever they are told. Mask no difficulties, mistakes, failures, and claim no easy victory." Honourable Chair, in 1990, the Auditor General released a very damning report in the House of the Representatives, where he claimed that millions of rand had been misused and stolen by the then government. He had made an assertion that corruption was structural and endemic. Now, when the African National Congress took over government in 1994, it brought all sorts of legislation that you can think about. It brought all sorts of offices that the opposition today is speaking about. It's only the African National Congress that is serious in dealing with the issue of corruption. Only the African National Congress manifesto, out of all the manifestos that we have seen, has prioritized the issue of corruption. We are saying the corruption is the enemy of the state and government. And only the African National Congress is saying that. Out of the 82 years that we have spent fighting for the liberation struggle, we have managed to put all systems in place to make sure that we deal with this matter of corruption. Now, I hear Honorable Madisha speaking about corruption. I was a bit embarrassed because what made him to leave the liberation movement was the very issue of bags that he was carrying all over the show. So, Honorable Madisha, you must stand on a moral high ground when you deal with these issues. Now, the African National Congress does welcome the criticism that comes from the opposition parties about these issues, public protector and all others. But all we have requested, General, from the public protector was that the reports must be fair, they must be justifiable and above board. So to come here as an opposition party and want to defend a Chapter 9 institution as if you have created it, it creates problem because these things belong to the African National Congress. The pettiness that is displayed by the DA in dealing with the issues of corruption is very disturbing to us as the African National Congress. And the issue of coming to the stage every time speaking about the president and corruption is very wrong. And not only wrong, but wrong to the extreme. First of all, the leader who has brought this motion here, I thought he would be here by today to discuss this matter. He needs to respect the president of the ANC. When President Zuma was co-opted in the National Executive Committee in 1977, he was not even born himself. The credential for President Zuma has served since 1977 in the NEC, uninterruptedly so until today. That shows credibility of the leader. Who are you today to can come and say the leader and so on, young as you are? Now let's come to the DA in the Western Cape. We have appointed Vusi Pikoli in the Western Cape here as a payback for the work that he has done on the controversial issue of Khayelitsha. It's a payback which is amounting to corruption. That's what you're doing. So you can't stand on a high moral ground than the African National Congress and speak about issues of corruption. The city of Cape Town, one council of DA in the city of Cape Town, is using letterheads there for own selfish interest. You see? So, and you want to come and stand on the ANC on these issues. Your former boss, Helen Zille, had thanked the Guptas for a money given for a good project. And we don't know how much, what was that money for. You still did not tell us what was that money for. And you want to stand and talk about corruption here. In the EFF, on a daily basis, as we speak, police are investigating an allegation of fraud against top EFF officials, including the leader, Mr. Malema, and his deputy, Floyd Shivambu. For party caucus issues.
On a point of order, Chair.
Order. Honourable member, what's your point of order?
Can we call the member to order? He now is misleading. And we know we're not going to accept any stories of saying I didn't hear. That guy is misleading the House. There's no such thing. You must give us a case number. You must stop lying here. You must not do that.
Thank you, Honourable member. Can you take a seat?
Well,
Honourable
thanks,
member.
Chair. Maybe it will be time to address...
Order, Honourable member. When we deal with issues that cast aspersion on members, we are supposed to bring those with a substantive motion. Can you please move on your speech? And if you want to bring a matter on substantive motion, you bring it to the House as it is supposed to.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe it will be
Order, Honourable member, I haven't finished.
No. You must withdraw.
Honourable member, I haven't finished.
No, you can't move. You must withdraw. Please.
Honourable members, you must, as you request to, you ask me to listen to you until you finish, but you are not willing to listen to me until I finish. I have not finished my ruling. So, thank you very much for your understanding. Honorable Pongo, can you please withdraw until you bring that matter on a substantive motion to the House?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Maybe
Can you withdraw?
It is I withdraw, Chair. Maybe it is time to deal with this issue of the disruption that is caused by the EFF in the House. As we move around addressing members of the ANC and the public, they always ask us, why are you not getting to these guys? Then what we always say is that because as the ANC, we have a responsibility to lead society and lead them. That is why we will always try to tolerate them. But secondly, 90% of members of the ANC this side have been trained in terms of military, both inside and outside the country. If we were to move this side, we will just crush them into smithereens.
Order, Honorable Pongo. Can you please come back to the matter under discussion?
Sorry, Madam House Chair.
Order, Honorable Steenhuisen.
Thanks very much, House Chair. House Chair, this is a chamber of debate. And when one member makes threats of physical violence against other members and military violence, it's inappropriate and it tends to suppress the debate. And I would ask that he withdraws those threats of violence against members on the side of the House.
Thank you, Honorable Steenhuisen, and that's why I asked the Honorable Member to refrain and come back to the matter under debate, because that was straying away from the debate. Honorable Bata, what is your point of order?
My point of order, Chair, is as follows. The Honorable Member also must know that 16% of his fellow members, they are former SPs.
Order, Honorable Member. Again, Honorable Mbata, you are casting aspersion on the members. You haven't mentioned them. I think let's refrain from that. Honorable Pongo, can you please come back to the matter under debate?
Thank you, Chair. What I'm trying to say, Chair, was that the issue of corruption is at the heart of the African National Congress.
Honorable what?
May I address you?
Yes.
Thank you. Chairperson, the Honourable Chief Whip just raised a very serious issue. The Honourable Member speaking raised issue of violence against members on this side of the House.
Point of order.
Withdraw that. Before he...
Point of order.
I'm on the floor.
Honourable Chief Whip, let me finish to listen to the member. I will come back to you. Honourable Chief Whip, can you take your seat? I will come back to you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I really appreciate that. The Honourable Chief Whip raised the issue of the Honourable Member making threats against members on this side of the House with military action. And he should withdraw that before he continues with his speech.
Honourable Waters, I did indicate to you that I have asked the member to refrain from that speech. Actually, I intervened. Order, Honourable Members. I intervened on the member while he was speaking, even before Honourable Steenhuisen made a point of order. Can I take Honourable Chief Whip?
I really commend you very much. Your patience is very good. Honourable Steenhuisen, you have already made a ruling directing Honourable Bongo to withdraw from behaving the manner in which he did. And he stands up to give you an instruction. And you tell him that you have already instructed Honourable Bongo. Honourable Waters tells you to listen to his boss as if he is your boss. And I really would never allow a kind of situation where these members instruct us. You cannot instruct us.
Order, Honourable Members. Honourable Members. Order.
Instruction. You
Order.
cannot.
Honourable Chief Whip, can you take your seat? Honourable Members. Honourable Members, can we please take our seats? Honourable Member, what is your point of order?
Look, Madam Chair, we can, of course, be as combative as the Chief Whip of the ANC. But please restrain him, and so that you can rule and so that you can rule on a member who's on the platform, Honourable Bongo, that he must retract the threats that he has just made. That's the only request we're making. That's the only request we are making, that you instruct him to retract and apologize.
Thank
so
you
that
very
we can
much.
proceed.
Can you take your seat? Thank you very much. Honorable members, Honorable Bongo, in his speech, indeed made a comment. Order, honorable members. Mam Kawul, ngiyabonga. Honorable Bongo made in his speech, Honorable Maxine, Honorable Maxine, thank you very much. In his speech, he made a reference of what he and others are being asked outside about their conduct in reference to the behavior of other members in the House. And he elaborated that they indicated that their role is to lead society and to lead those members. He further said that amongst here, there are members who have been trained militarily. Okay, we can put the percentage that there are members who are trained militarily, and therefore, if they were to act, it would not be correct. At that point, I interjected and asked the member to refrain. I said he must refrain from that because, firstly, it was unparliamentary. Secondly, it was out of the debate, and I asked him to come back. Honorable Steenhuisen stood up, made the reference that such a statement is indeed unparliamentary. It's a threat of violence that affects the openness for other members to be able to participate openly in the debate. I indicated I had already asked the member to refrain. Honorable Waters asked that the member be asked to withdraw. Honorable Chief Whip did the same. Honorable members, I'm deliberately enunciating this long process so that all of us can appreciate what has happened in this debate. Clearly, members would want Honorable Bongo to publicly again said he withdraw. I will ask him, can you please withdraw that statement, Honorable Bongo, as you have done already? You can do it.
No, but Chair, I want to know exactly what I must withdraw because...
Honorable member, Honorable Bongo, in your statement, I think the reference you made vis-a-vis the military training borders on threatening.
But it's a matter of fact that majority of the members of the AC are for
Honorable member, Honorable member Bongo, Honorable member Bongo, Honorable member Bongo, can you please withdraw so that we proceed with the debate?
Okay, I withdraw.
Thank you. Can you proceed with your debate?
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Mulder will agree with me. Honorable Mulder will agree with me, Chair, that there is a damning report from the Public Protector about the DA Rand municipality in Midvaal. A report which says that Midvaal is probably the most corrupt municipality in South Africa. There is a report about the maladministration and corruption that is taking place there. Hence, we are emphasizing as the African National Congress that all opposition parties must look at our manifesto because they don't have manifestos.
Order, honorable member. Honorable member.
Sorry, will the honorable member take a question on the statement he's just made?
Honorable Bongo, would you be able to take a question on the statement of the municipality of Midvaal?
Yes, I will take a question.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, it would be useful if you came and made a speech based on facts.
Question, Chair. Question.
Order, Honorable Bongo.
I'm getting to the question. Can you... Let me get straight to the
Chair,
question.
you must protect me. I want a question.
Order, Honorable member. You said you will take a question.
Can you outline exactly what that report said and how it compares to all of the other reports of corruption in ANC-governed municipalities? Thank you.
Honorable Bongo, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Honorable House Chair.
Order, honorable member. Yes, honorable member.
May I address you?
Yes, you can.
And through you, the member who just made a statement that political parties do not have manifestos. As for the EFF, we do have a manifesto. And when we take over government in 2019, we will show you that indeed we can deliver up to the expectations of the poor masses of South Africa.
Thank you very much. Honorable Pongo, you can proceed.
Thank you. That will be when Jesus Christ has came, Sesi. Honorable Chair, the EFF cannot stand here and speak about corruption when its leader, Honorable Malema, is owing 16 million in taxes.
Order, honorable members. Honorable member.
I think we have.
Honorable Maxine, can you please take your seat?
I think we have honorable members.
Honorable
here.
member of the EFF, there was a member whom I've pointed out to speak. Thank you. Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Chair. Ma'am, I asked the member a specific question. Could you please outline exactly what that report says and how it compares to other reports on ANC municipalities? He has not answered that, and I'd like an answer.
Thank you, honorable member.
Yes,
sorry, honorable Pongo.
Myself and him,
honorable Pongo,
and honorable Mulder.
Honorable
will
Pongo,
discuss after the house.
Honorable Pongo.
Sit down.
I'm taking a point of order, honorable member.
Honorable Chair.
Yes.
This member came. He's talking lies. He's saying our president is involved in corruption with SARS. And those are lies. He must withdraw. And again, you must clarify that issue of violence. That when you don't have the capacity of violence.
Order, honorable member.
You are just an exception
Order,
of TD.
honorable member.
No capacity of violence.
Order.
You must withdraw that quickly.
Honorable member, you are now straying again on matters that are matters of debate. Honorable Pongo, did you say Honorable Malema is involved in corruption with SARS?
I never said so. I said he's owing up to 16 million of taxes with SARS. That is a matter of fact. I never said corruption. You'll figure out whether it's corruption or what.
Honorable member, did you say it or you didn't?
I did not say it.
Thank you.
Honorable Chair,
Maxine.
I'm rising on a point of order.
Yes,
we are sick and tired of Bongo now. We are sick and tired. You want to warn him.
Honorable member.
No, wait, Chair. Bongo, CIC is not your friend. If you belong to the Premier League, you don't have a license to undermine our CIC. If you don't follow news, you must know that CIC does not always send.
Thank you very much.
Order, honorable members.
Thank you,
honorable member on the podium, can you please stick on your topic, on your speech?
Thank you, Chair. You'll also recall that they can't speak on this subject.
Honorable member.
They've suspended
honorable member.
and Lisfield Chabalala.
Honorable Pongo.
Because of exposing corruption.
Order.
Point of order, Chair.
Honorable member. Honorable Pongo.
You must withdraw that.
Honorable Pongo. Order. Honorable member. I'm addressing the member on the podium. Can you take your seat? Can you please take your seat? You will be recognized. For now, take your seat. Honorable Pongo. I have asked you repeatedly to please stick on your speech. You have been asked by a member that you'll answer the question you said you would. He feels you haven't answered your question. Can you please respond to that? Secondly, can you please stick on the matter under debate? Honorable member, Honorable Slengwa.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to trivialize the debate. I would ask you, Chair, to go back to Hansard and to check whether the comments being made by Honorable Bongo with regards, I'm not talking to you, with regards to Jesus Christ, I find that flippant comment to be offensive as a Christian and to be blasphemous.
Order, honorable members.
Chair,
order.
And I ask you, Chair, to go to Hansard
and to check on that and make a considered ruling, because I feel that the comments that he's made are unparliamentary. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Member of the EFF.
Chair, we want to ask the member to withdraw that statement of 16 million. It's not true. There's no such thing. That is wrong. It's lies. You must stop continuing to do that.
Order, Honourable Member.
Please, now.
Honourable members, firstly, I asked whether Honourable Honourable Bongo, as it was alleged, whether he mentioned that Honourable Malema is corrupt, as it was referred to, and he said no. All what he said was that Honourable Malema is owing SARS 20 million. Honourable members, can you please allow the chair to once again ask Honourable Bongo the question? Honourable Bongo, matter under debate. The point of order is that, well, there's a dispute whether Honourable Malema owes SARS 16 million.
No, but the member was saying they've already paid it, Chair.
Can I ask that we are allowed as the table to deal with this matter? Can you proceed with your speech?
Okay, thank you very much, Honourable Chair.
Madam
In
Chair.
2011.
Madam Chair.
Order, Honourable Member.
So we've got unreserved respect for you and for your authority. But for once, can you please put your foot firm on the ground so that there can be progress, and ask the honourable member. I don't know why should we refer to him as honourable. Can you please ask him to retract his words about the president of the EFF so that we can move on?
Order. Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Firstly, there was an issue with regard to his statement that was inferring and casting aspersion on the member of the EFF, Honourable Malema. I asked him, he denied. Indeed, you asked us to check on Hansard. Secondly, the member has mentioned that Honourable Malema owes 16 million. You have asked that matter is not correct, so it's a matter under dispute which will follow up as the table, and I've said so.
On a point of order.
So I don't know what firmness you want us to deal with in respect of these matters. You can, yes?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
The request we're making is be firm. Tell him to withdraw, and say, because he keeps on making aspersions about the president of the EFF. He now alleges that a member of the EFF says the 16 million has been paid by the EFF. So if you can't
Honourable Member.
Madam Chair, if you can't stop him from making such irresponsible utterances, it will be difficult for us to allow him to continue to address. Otherwise, he has long exceeded his allocated time. Can you please instruct him to leave?
He has not. Honourable Member,
So
thank you very much.
Apologizes, he cannot.
Can you take your seat? Can you please take your seat?
ought to be clear about that.
Can you also take your seat so that we are clear about it too? Unfortunately, when there are matters of debate and there are dispute on facts, you can ask the chair to rule one way or the other. It is for that reason that you reserve your ruling as a chair. And that's exactly what I said I would do. So it's not that he's right or he's wrong. I've said I will look at the matter and I will come back to the House at an appropriate time to rule. So I think let's respect that. Honourable Member, your question indeed has not been answered. I think for the sake of time, let's proceed. Maybe you will be answered the next time.
Could I be heard on a point of order, Madam Chair?
Okay, we are now rising on a point of order, not on the question.
Well, Chair, it's emphatically clear that he has no intention of answering my question after he accepted the question. And frankly, it's also emphatically clear he hasn't read the report that he refers to. So I think he should withdraw that comment as well. His speech, Madam Chair, is frankly an embarrassment to him and to his party today.
Order, Honourable Member. Honourable Bongo, for the last chance, you have been asked whether you will take a question. You agreed. and a question has been asked, would you respond to that answer, to the question as asked?
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I have agreed to take the answer, the question. But looking at my minutes here, I'm saying I'm inviting him outside so that I can give a comprehensive answer and a report.
Order.
I found that to be an answer.
Order. Honorable member, I think it will be important next time. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, I think next time, honorable members, all of us, when we make a commitment to people that we will take their questions while on the podium, we should do so. If not, we should not accept that we should do. Honorable member, can you please conclude on your speech?
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable House Chair, may I address you?
Okay, yes, member.
Before the honorable member can continue, let me just make one thing clear, that irrespective of whether the president of the EFF is present in this house or not, we will continue to protect him. He had his day in court. Unlike your President Zuma, who is running away from the court of South Africa. Our president had his day in court.
Honorable member, I don't think that's a point of order. We have indicated that on the matter that is under dispute, I will come back and rule in this house. Honorable Pongo, can you please conclude your speech?
Yes, I must conclude.
Honorable Chair. Point of order.
What is your point of order?
The Speaker has referred to Honorable Makau's SCC. He must withdraw that. That's not CC.
Honorable member, did you say CC?
Yes, you said CC.
Okay, Honorable Makau, can you please take a
CC.
seat? Honorable Makau, can you please take a seat? Honorable member, did you say CC?
Yes, I did say.
Can you please say honorable member?
I withdraw, honorable member.
Thank you.
Chairperson.
Honorable Mtembu.
On a point of order.
Yes, Honorable Mtembu.
The President of the Republic of South Africa, President Zuma, did not run away from any court of law. Therefore, there is no truth in what is being said by Honorable Makau.
Thank you, Honorable member. Can you take your seat? Honorable Bongo, can you please conclude your speech?
Relating to what I raised earlier about 1990, in 2011, the Premier of the Western Cape was exposed by awarding a multi-million rand tender on communication without following a proper procedure and regulation. In 2012, questions were raised about the...
Yes, honorable member.
Will the honorable member take a question on that statement?
Honorable member, would you like to take a question?
Outside.
No, now.
Order.
Now.
Honorable member, can you take your seat? Honorable Pongo, can you please conclude?
In 2012, questions were raised about the deal between the media group Naspers and the city of Cape Town, in which DA municipality intended to buy a piece of parking space from a media firm. At an independent property valuation, the property was 50 million, but the city was prepared to pay 106 million. It is clear that the value was highly inflated. We wonder who stood to benefit out of this. In July this year, the mayor of Cape Town and the DA leader at the Western Cape, Ms. Delille, was exposed by Mail and Guardian for apparently corrupt campaign to put management of the project to develop public space on a scenic Clifford style in the land of her close friends and associates. Recently, the city of Cape Town has lost a court case involving 113.5 million for sewer treatment plant. And when they were asked whether they will appeal this, they said they can't appeal because there were no facts, because they followed no procedure in dealing with this matter, Honorable Chair. So I want to call upon, as the ANC, all political parties to work with us.
Order, honorable member. Honorable member.
The honourable member literally has not a single idea what he is talking about.
What is your point of order?
Will he take a question on the nonsense he is talking now?
I think the member has said he would answer the questions outside.
No, this is a new question on what he's just said now.
Order, honourable member. I think we really should respect the time. All of us. Surely the truth also must be respected, and that's why the member had said earlier to you he will answer you outside. He doesn't have time. Can you please conclude?
We as the ANC want to call upon all opposition parties to work with us in dealing with this scourge of corruption. We want to call upon all opposition parties to work with us and look at our manifesto priorities around the issue of corruption so that we can deal with it to the root of it, so that we can work together and build South Africa for the people of South Africa and for the future generation of South Africa. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Honourable Van Dam.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. You know, it's so painful every day to read of corruption stories involving the ANC. It's embarrassing for us as South Africans. So I was hoping today that the ANC speakers would come and talk to us about how, firstly, owning up to the fact that corruption is a big problem in government, and then giving us details of how corruption will be dealt with. Instead, speaker after speaker from the ANC came and stood up and spoke a lot of hot air. I mean, Mabe said, Honourable Mabe, the Honourable Leader of Castle Corner, came up here and said the ANC inherited an ethos of corruption. Nobody denies that apartheid was a corrupt system, but it was not the apartheid government that built Nkandla. It was not the apartheid government that took 10 women on a joyride on a Prasa train. It was not the apartheid government that dealt with
On a point of order.
Order, honourable members.
Honourable Van Dam here.
Order, honourable members. Honourable members, order. Yes, honourable member, what's the point of order?
This honourable member here says that there's a castle corner here. What castle corner?
If you say there isn't one, why are you standing up then? If there isn't one, why are you standing?
Order, honourable Van Damme.
And we do.
Can you please withdraw that? It's unparliamentary.
I withdraw Castle Corner.
Honourable Van Damme, can you please withdraw?
I withdraw.
Thank you. Can you proceed with your speech?
And then there was Honourable Tom, whose speech was just a smorgasbord of quotes. I wasn't quite sure what point she was making, but I got the sense that she was very sad that the DA is finding fault and that we're always angry. That's what we're here to do. We're here to hold government accountable. Be strong. And then there was Honourable Bongo. How? Ngosiamo Bongo. Umkhonyana EFF, who was supposed to be here to be the sweep.
Honourable member, can you withdraw that? Can you please withdraw that?
I withdraw Mkhonyana. Honourable Bongo was supposed to come here and sweep for the ANC, but it was like sweeping with a broken old mop. This is a man who clearly has no understanding of the law. I mean, this is the man who said that the public protector should refrain from making adverse statements about the government because she is part of government. Chap, you must familiarize yourself with this document. You must read it. You don't know what you are talking about. The point is, Honourable Chairperson, South Africa has given the ANC more than 21 years to tackle corruption. Instead, it continues to allow some amongst them to continue to practice politics of the stomach. The rot has unfortunately sunk in too deep, and there is no possibility of redemption. The ANC, South Africa can no longer wait for the ANC to improve because it will not.
Member, your time
it is time for South Africa to tell the ANC, so long and thanks for all the fish.
This concludes the debate and the business for the day. The House is adjourned.